So I'm now introducing to you Sajeeb Wazed. Do I pronounce that well? Thank you. Thank you. The Honorable Advisor to the Prime Minister on ICT Affairs, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. The title of his presentation is Bangladesh, the Next ICT Destination, a story of transformation by leveraging information and communication technology. Remarkable progress has been made in establishing digital Bangladesh. Mobile subscribers increased from 20 million to 134 million, and internet users from 500,000 to 54 million in the last 7 years. IT and ITS export has grown by more than 10 times. High-tech and software parks are being built and specially incentive packages been declared. Thus, Bangladesh is strongly appearing in the global landscape as the next ICT destination. Please welcome Mr. Sajeeb Wazed, the Honorable Advisor to the Prime Minister on ICT Affairs of the Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here at CeBIT. Our IT industry has been participating in CeBIT for many years. This is the first time from the government of Bangladesh that we have come here to take our involvement at CeBIT to the next level. So I'm sure you all know Bangladesh as the country that exports garments. We are the second largest garments exporters in the world. There's a very good chance that you are wearing something made in Bangladesh right now. And of course, we all know Germany as one of the leading engineering countries in the world, best known for its cars. I myself drive a German car, so on balance, I probably sent more money to Germany than you have sent to Bangladesh. Our government 7 years ago came up with a vision of, we call it our Vision 2021, which is to transform Bangladesh into a middle-income country by the year 2021. Why the year 2021? Because that is 50 years of Bangladesh's existence. In 71, Bangladesh became independent, and our goal is that by its 50th anniversary, Bangladesh will no longer be a poor country, it will be a middle-income country. What does that entail? In terms of IT, that involves creating a digital government. 7 years ago, only about 5 or 6 government services were digitized. Everything was completely paper-based. If you wanted to do anything with the government of Bangladesh, they had to pull out a file, fill out forms. The file had to make its way around the government and come back to you. It could take weeks, months. It would take forever. Today, approximately 60% of government services have been digitized, 70% to some level. Not fully digitized, but at least partially digitized. And this has all happened within the last 7 years. We made it a priority of connecting our citizens. Again, the majority of our population is poor. They don't live in the cities. There wasn't much IT infrastructure. Internet usage in Bangladesh 7 years ago was just 0.3% of the population. That is it. So then there was a question, how are the majority of the population going to take advantage of these digital services? And so we came up with innovative solutions to where now 95% of our population has access to digital services. Another aspect of our Vision 2021 was to develop the IT industry, and in particular, diversify from our garments-based export. And IT was one of those areas which we targeted. And in order to do that, we had to develop the human resource, the IT skill set and the labor set for the IT industry, to grow the IT industry. And of course, the last part is the IT industry promotion, which is really why I'm here today. Our Software and Services, IT Services Association has been participating in CeBIT for many years. Now our government is supporting this initiative to expand our visibility. So the ICT industry has set some targets for this Vision 2021. By the year 2021, we hope to have over we hope to achieve $5 billion in IT exports. To put things in perspective, 7 years ago, our total country's IT export was only about $23 million. That is it. Today, we are at about $400 million or so. We are targeting that by the end of this government's term, which is in 3 years, we will cross $1 billion. And by 2021, the target is $5 billion in exports. It should contribute 5% of our GDP, and the goal is to employ 2 million people in the IT sector alone. Again, garments is our biggest employer, the biggest industry. IT, we can't quite match that, but in terms of income, IT certainly can, and 2 million is a very, very big target. So I want to tell you today really about the story of this transformation. Again, the growth that we have had since 2009 has been remarkable. Before 2009, there was no such thing as an IT industry in Bangladesh. If you look at just bandwidth, cost of bandwidth in Bangladesh 7 years ago was the most expensive in the world. 1 megabyte of connection, 1 megabit per second, would cost you $1,000. And so the goal was we have to reduce that, make it competitive, because you cannot have an IT industry. And in fact, most industries were suffering because of high costs, most industries outside of the garments. Again, our cumulative IT export right now stands at $300 million. 7 years ago was just 23 million. Bangladesh is the #1 source for freelancers in the world right now. We have over 400,000 freelancers registered on all the various freelancing websites. If you look at our IT software export trend, you can see it has been an exponential growth, again, over the last 5-6 years. It was almost nothing. And we hope to continue this growth trend. In fact, we hope to accelerate it as more and more skilled labor join the IT workforce, the infrastructure is developed further, and we achieve more expertise and marketing success. In terms of technology adoption in Bangladesh itself, so in order to have the IT industry, it wasn't enough just to create an industry and labor force. National IT adoption had to be increased so that people would become more familiar with technology, the common person. 5-6 years ago, internet penetration was just 0.3%. Today, it's at 35%. We have 134 million mobile subscribers. It is one of the largest markets in the world. Now, our population is 155 million or so. So pretty much we are at market saturation for mobile access. Bangladesh is one of those few countries. We have 98% network coverage throughout the country. Of course, our advantage is physically we are a small country. But other than the forests of Sundarbans in the south, you can get mobile service anywhere in Bangladesh. And just to give you an example of the transformation that has been taking place in Bangladesh over the last 6 years. So 6-7 years ago in Bangladesh, we had severe shortage of infrastructure. And one of the critical infrastructures is power generation. We used to have an almost 30% shortfall of electricity generation capacity in the country. You would have electricity blackouts for up to 6, 7, 8 hours per day. And you cannot sustain any sort of industry with such a shortage of electricity. Our government put the focus on infrastructure development. We have increased our power production by 400% in the last 7 years. And today there is no longer a shortage. Our supply and demand are equal. Pretty much industries do not have a problem with power and infrastructure anymore. In fact, the main problem we now face is that because of the economic growth, our population has been buying more and more cars, a lot of them from Germany, and so now we have a tremendous traffic problem. Part of this digitization, in the last 6 years, our government has connected 25,000 government offices throughout the country to the internet, to digital services, to provide these digital services to each and every citizen. Our model has been to provide service to the doorstep of the citizens. Our goal is that some 80% of services will be available at their fingertips through their mobile phones or through the internet. Remaining 10-15% will be available at the nearest, what we call digital centers. So what we did in order to get IT services, take IT services to the people in the villages, and this was sort of my concept, is that we created, the government of Bangladesh built cyber cafes, we call them digital centers, throughout the country. One near every village in Bangladesh. Our smallest local government unit is called a union. We built one digital center in each and every union in Bangladesh. We did that within 1 year. And since then we've been expanding. We have about 5,500 digital centers throughout the country where usually each digital center is surrounded by about 6, 7, 8 villages. The villagers can go to these digital centers. There are village youths there whom we have trained on the apps and services that are available for the government of Bangladesh, as well as the private sector. Because they're internet enabled, they can access any digital service anywhere in the world. And these village entrepreneurs, these youth that we have trained, they take a small fee from the villagers and provide whatever service online to the villagers right then and there. So villagers can access about 95% of government services either through their mobile phones or at these digital centers. Only for the remaining 5% of services do they actually have to go to a government office. We have built our own data center for the government of Bangladesh. As our services are being digitized, these are being hosted on our own data centers. Bangladesh is now connected with various international submarine cables, the largest being Simiwi 4. We are about to connect to Simiwi 5 when it comes online. We also have overland connectivity to India, and then subsequently through all the submarine cables that India is connected to. So Bangladesh has excellent connectivity right now. Again, 7 years ago, our lone international connectivity was Simiwi 4. And as it's a submarine cable, every so often the cable would get cut and the entire country of Bangladesh would go offline. And of course, repairing a submarine cable takes time. So for days, sometimes a week or two, the entire country of Bangladesh would be offline, which simply was not acceptable. And as I mentioned, 5,275 digital centers. We actually have more than that now because we are adding new every month. We have crossed 5,500. Part of what is driving the IT sector and enabling it as well, and as well as in fact industry in general, and this is one of the reasons why Bangladesh today is the third fastest growing economy in the world. Even though we're a poor country, we are right now one of the fastest growing, is that we have a very, very young population. We have a tremendous labor force. We have 2 million plus college students that are graduating every year, 650,000 in sciences alone, 403,000 plus business school graduates. And right now we're at about 10,000 plus IT graduates, and we are increasing that every year. So our labor force is getting more and more skilled, and our government has been driving this. We have given high importance to education. Bangladesh today has 100% enrollment in primary education. 100%. That means every child in Bangladesh at the primary level goes to school. In terms of skilled human resource development, so our government and our ICT ministry, our ICT division, has itself directly taken the responsibility of training the IT skills labor force. We have several projects ongoing, providing various different skills. One of them is called LICT project. The target there is to train 75,000 youth over the next 3 years in various IT skills. These are essentially like vocational training to provide particular skill set for the IT industry, training in mobile app development, web development, search engine optimization, various specific training that these youth can then use to get a job or become freelancers online, providing their services outside of Bangladesh. 10,000 what we call top-up training. That is, people who have certain IT skills already. We provide additional training, perhaps a different skill set or advancing their existing skill set. 20,000 foundation skills, basic IT training, people who have never used a computer before, youth from the villages, learning to use computers for the first time, becoming familiar with technology. 20,000 online training for outsourcing, because that the freelancer community has become our sort of core strength. That's a niche we have found. We're expanding that with this program. And so far, we started these programs in the last 2 years. 3,500 have been trained already. Another 23,000 are in the pipeline at this present moment. And of course, you see 75,000 over the next 3 years. The IT sector within Bangladesh itself is growing tremendously. As the local IT sector has developed, local IT companies, before they would have to hire, if they wanted to digitize, not IT companies, I'm sorry, the local industries, the garments industry. Now, this has become a big area, and there are companies here at CeBIT today presenting who are selling their services, providing their services to the domestic industry now, which did not exist before. So the garments industries, many of these companies have grown to such a scale that they need their own ERP systems. They can no longer run by paper alone. And of course, as you all know, procuring ERP systems from abroad from the big providers, SAP, Oracle, is very, very expensive. And so this market so there has been a need for a middle market of cost-effective ERP solutions within Bangladesh to the leather manufacturers, the garments manufacturers, the porcelain manufacturers. And these services are now being provided by local IT companies. This capability did not exist 6 years ago. And these companies are here at CeBIT today presenting, and now they have the expertise and the capability to provide ERP services to international companies at a fraction of the cost of the big players. Our companies have expertise in graphics design, customs apps development, business process management. There are various niches that Bangladeshi companies have developed, services that they're providing to companies in Bangladesh, and some of them are already exporting outside of Bangladesh, so you might want to look at them to see if they can meet your needs. We already, out of this $300 million a year, are major export destinations. The biggest two are the USA and UK. Of course, the reason for that being that Bangladesh, as a former British colony, English is widely spoken, English is taught throughout the school, so everybody in Bangladesh has some basic English capability. We would like to expand that. Germany is one of our big markets, as well as Denmark, Netherlands. We would like to expand that. We would definitely like to expand that. So we welcome you to take another look at Bangladesh. Again, because of our success in the last 6 years, 7 years, really it has been a story of transformation. Many of you will not be aware, but about 10 years ago, Bangladesh was being called a failing state internationally. Our previous government had really failed to run the country. Corruption was a rampant problem. Infrastructure was non-existent. The country was a disaster. Terrorism was a big problem, to the point that it led to a military coup. And exactly 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, exactly 9 years ago, we had a military coup in Bangladesh, and it was considered internationally as a failed country. Fortunately, we were able to restore democracy within 2 years, and since then it has been a story of transformation. Today we are being called the next 11 by Goldman Sachs. As in, after the BRICS, Bangladesh is one of the next 11 countries that is poised to rise on the global stage. JP Morgan considers us one of the frontier 5. And again, people are always shocked when I tell them this, that today Bangladesh is the 3rd fastest growing economy in the world. We are second only to India and China. That's it. In order to help some of these to develop, this is an example of the IT infrastructure that our government is developing. The private sector, our telecommunications industry, the internet backbones, access, they're all provided by the private sector. You've seen the numbers, the growth has been phenomenal. So the government has taken upon itself to develop other infrastructure. And that would be one of the areas we've targeted our high-tech parks. So these are essentially zones to attract foreign companies to come and invest. We provide specific benefits and facilities to where that way you don't have to, frankly, deal with the traffic of our major cities. We have 355 acres that is being developed in an area called Kalyakor. It's about an hour, 45 minutes outside of Dhaka city, which is going to be a high-tech town right outside of Dhaka. We're building another one in another city called Joshore, which is in the southwest part of our country. We have Janata Towers within Dhaka city. It's in a prime location. So these are facilities that the government of Bangladesh is developing. Usually we are developing these in a PPP, public-private partnership basis, where both domestic and foreign companies, especially we invite foreign companies to come, that we will provide the basic facilities, whatever infrastructure you need, and you can then develop these as per your requirements. And we provide tax holidays. I believe it's on the next slide here. These are the incentives that we are providing to foreign investors. You are completely tax exempt in these high-tech parks. Essentially, these are IT special economic zones. 12 years tax exemption. 100% of your profits and investment can be repatriated, so that is not a concern at all. Duty-free vehicle import now, of course, the primary reason for highlighting that is in order to sort of try and alleviate the traffic problem, our government has been steadily increasing the import duty on vehicles. It's one of the highest in the world right now, about 400%. So unfortunately, we don't have a choice there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to drive in Bangladesh at all. It would be a parking lot. This is to discourage private purchase of vehicles and encourage the use of public transportation. 10 years tax exemptions for IT companies, duty-free import of any capital equipment that you need, and no value-added tax on any e-commerce. These are tremendous facilities, and Bangladesh is one of the few countries that provides all of this. Mobile banking is something that has really taken off in Bangladesh. I'm sure you've heard of it around the world. It's the hot topic right now. In Bangladesh, we've taken a slightly different approach. In Bangladesh, our mobile banking is very, very highly regulated. Unlike other countries where it's run completely by the mobile companies, in Bangladesh, it is led by the banks. This was a policy decision that we made early on because banking regulations are much stricter, and we wanted to avoid any problems here, any malfeasance here, especially when it comes to dealing with people's hard-earned money. Today, these are just some of the statistics. And again, none of this existed 7 years ago. This has all happened in 7 years. Monthly transactions over 1.4 billion US dollars are transacted throughout Bangladesh over mobile phones. Average daily transaction value is almost $50 million. $2.5 million transactions per day throughout Bangladesh. That is a huge number of mobile transactions. And bKash is our biggest mobile money provider. In fact, they seem to have they've provided such a good service that they have become synonymous with mobile money in Bangladesh. And the Gates Foundation itself was one of the original investors in bKash. Tremendous platform for e-commerce. Of course, all of you know that Alibaba has been the largest IPO in the history. That is because of China's population over 1.2 billion. Bangladesh is poised to be one of the largest consumer markets in the world. We have our population is 154 million people and a very, very fast growing middle class. So E-commerce is growing at a tremendous rate within the country. We're projected to have 34 million in our middle class by the year 2025. In fact, we should be ahead of that projection because Bangladesh today has already reached officially middle income status according to the World Bank. We are lower middle income, but we have crossed that threshold. So our middle class is actually projected to be closer to 50 million by that date. 68% of middle-income consumers own a smartphone today. In fact, Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing markets for smartphones right now. 80% is influenced by brand names. The market for marketing in Bangladesh is huge. Television ads, internet ads take up a huge amount of airtime, and foreign brands have really poured into Bangladesh. Brands like Unilever now have a huge presence marketing their wares throughout the country. According to BCG, Boston Consulting Group, Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing consumer markets right now, today. Again, third fastest economy, probably I don't know exactly where we stand on the growing consumer market, but I would guess that we are in the top 10 right now. These are some of the international awards that we have won within the last 5 years. Sustainable Development Award, the South-South Visionary Award, the World IT and Services Alliance's WITSA Award, the World Summit on Information Society WISIS Award. These are all because of Digital Bangladesh. So I'm really proud to have been able to contribute to this. And in fact, because of our success in digitization, developing the IT sector, and especially government digitization, it's really been a story of transformation. WITSA has voted, the WITSA members have voted to host their next World Congress on IT in Bangladesh in 2021. It really works out well for us because 2021 is our 50th anniversary, and WITSA, their members voted. So this was a vote. This was not lobbying. This was not an influence decision. Their members voted because of our success to hold their Congress in Bangladesh. These are some of the infrastructure projects going on. Really, for those of you who may have visited Bangladesh and for those who haven't, I would welcome you to visit because today, really, Bangladesh looks like it is under construction. Anywhere you go, there is construction taking place simply because of the sheer volume of infrastructure and development that is taking place. We are building a metro rail system, part of that public transportation system that we are trying to encourage people to use. We're in the process of building a deep sea port. Bangladesh is planning to launch its own satellite by the year 2017. The construction of that satellite has already started. We are building a digital island. This is going to be this is a remote island. This was an underdeveloped island in the Bay of Bengal. The people there were isolated. We are really developing it as an infrastructure hub. It's going to have a major power producing center. Power plants are going to be built there, power import infrastructure. But we are laying a fiber optic cable to that island and digitizing and providing digital services to the entire population of that island. We're in the process of building a Tier 3 data center, and as I mentioned in the beginning, we are connecting to SIMIWI 5, which is another submarine cable, fiber optic cable that is coming to our region, that alone will have a carrying capacity of 1,300 gigabits per second. 4G has already been launched in Bangladesh by a few providers. It has just started. We are about to auction more 4G spectrum. We're hoping to do that by the end of this year. But we are hoping to bring 4G LTE to Bangladesh. It's already started on a limited basis, but we are hoping to expand it nationwide within the next 5 years. And with that, I would like to conclude my presentation and give you some time and hopefully take some questions. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the tremendous change you lead your country through. It was, I'm sorry, it was new to me. Although I know students from your country who are studying in Frankfurt and in Darmstadt, highly developed technical studies. They belong to our communities, but I had no idea of that scope of progress you push through. Questions from the audience. Here's your mic. Yes.
Thank you very much for the nice talk. Actually, so Bangladesh is progressing, and we are very happy as a former Bangladesh citizen. Okay, right now we are living in Germany or abroad, but we are happy to see all of the progress. The question is in terms of security. So the event that has happened several days ago, in Bangladesh Bank, and also let's say all of the services that are provided, because we are going very fast in terms of economics. So I think security is one of the main consideration. So what are the initiatives that are taken by Bangladesh government in terms of security and privacy of the peoples of Bangladesh?
Thank you. That's a very good question. And I have a question for you, but I'll get to that after I answer. Our government, we have developed, our ICT ministry is in the process of developing a national enterprise architecture, which is going to be a set of criteria that includes security policies for all government services. So that has been adopted already. We provide our IT ministry really provides coordination for most government digitization projects. So we do security and privacy is something that we take very, very seriously. Now, with regards to what happened at the Bangladesh bank hacking, typically our IT ministry provides support for most digitization. So if you look at, say, our national ID system, it is one of the most secure database systems in the world. Now, Bangladesh, people don't know this, is the #1 most hacked country in the world. It's the #1 target of hackers today because of our digitization. Unfortunately, the Bangladesh bank digitization was not undertaken by the IT ministry or the government of Bangladesh itself. That project was really conducted by the World Bank. And so I don't want to comment too much on that because we don't know exactly what happened, whether it was a weakness in the system or whether there was sort of malfeasance involved by employees of the Bangladesh bank itself. So before we get to the bottom of that, there is a committee that is investigating. Our IT ministry, we have a cybersecurity response cell. So this response cell usually investigates most breaches of all government services by hackers, and they are involved in this investigation of the Bangladesh bank hacking as well. So we don't have a conclusive report from them yet. But this is something we take very seriously, and despite being the #1 target of hackers, this is the first major breach that you have had of any government service. So we are actually quite proud of that. Security is a process. The more hackers are finding new ways, and we are expanding. So we keep increasing our security level. So this is something that is ingrained in our systems and is constantly being improved, as well as we're expanding our cybersecurity team. We're sending members to RSA and various training seminars to sort of keep increasing our security capabilities as well.
What are the major challenges you encounter implementing your vision of digital Bangladesh, and how do you manage those challenges?
I would say the biggest challenge we face is because we are starting from zero, just digitizing existing government services becomes a monumental task. For one example, we are now in the process of digitizing land records in Bangladesh. That runs into the hundreds of millions of records spread throughout government offices throughout the country that have to be digitized. And just the sheer volume, because you're starting from scratch, there is nothing there. Just the sheer volume of work. So we're in the process of digitizing court records. Again, hundreds and hundreds of millions of documents that have to be digitized. And so that alone, the process alone of conversion takes years. And we would like to move faster, but that's just not possible.
Does a significant part of your population already feel that change and feel the hope for a better life?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, Bangladeshis recent polls have shown Bangladeshis to be the most positive in the world. One of the things we have done to improve our goal was our goal with digitization was to benefit the common man down to the village level. So when we started digitizing government services, we didn't just look at digitizing the process. We looked at the entire process itself. And our goals were to reduce the time and cost. So what we did is we looked at how many steps a citizen has to take to obtain each government service and whether those steps can be minimized. And so we would re-engineer the process and then digitize. And so as a consequence, government, say, to give you a small example, to get a passport. So a person in the village would have to travel to the nearest city, go to the government office, pick up a form, and most likely he or she would not be able to read and write. He would have to go back, have a nephew or his son or someone else fill that form out for him, then go back to the government office, submit it, come back later to see where it was, if more information was required, come back to provide that information, and it would take him months. And there's a time cost as well, his travel. He would not be able to work for that period. Today, he can go to the digital center near his village, which probably is a 20, 30-minute trip for him. And the youth there at the digital center will be able to fill out all the information he needs online, and he can go back and he gets notified on his mobile phone when his passport is ready, and he comes back. Instead of months, it takes weeks. The processes that used to take days now can be done in minutes. So it is benefiting every citizen.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sanjit Chatterjee. I work with Reeve Systems. It's a Bangladesh origin multinational. I work as the country manager for India. Very impressive figures and presentation. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know, is your government planning anything for encouraging startups in Bangladesh? Specifically, you mentioned your growth rate is just after India and China, and these are obviously where, so if you could explain.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
No, our government has really focused on startups. We have many, many initiatives that we've provided. So we started with a fund from the Bangladesh Bank. We call it the EEF fund. It's the, I forget what the acronym stands for, but it is a fund targeted to provide low-cost loans, particularly to startups. Our IT ministry constantly undertakes competitions to promote startups, and the startups, the ventures, the ideas that win the competition, the IT ministry itself provides funding. We provide office space. We've targeted office space in these high-tech parks that we are building specifically for startups, and the IT ministry itself often will invest in promising startups to sort of take them to the next level. So we believe startups is really where our future is, and this is something we actively promote.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Habibur Rahman. I'm a student of TU Technical University of Munich. So I would like to ask one question, like we produce a lot of engineers in our country, but unfortunately we don't have that research facilities in our country. Maybe it's just because of we are not that developed country at this moment. And most of our IT specialists, they are going to abroad for higher studies, and they are not coming back.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, is there any scheme or any scholarship opportunities the government will provide the students in future, and they will take their higher studies like Germany or USA, and they have to come back and serve their country? Do you have any plan for that?
No, we actually don't have any plans to provide scholarships to study abroad. We don't believe that we should provide funding for students to go abroad. It's not cost effective for us to do that because studying abroad is very expensive. So but what we're doing instead is we are focusing on developing R&D facilities within Bangladesh. So we are we're collaborating with the major universities to develop an R&D training and research, IT training and research center within the major universities throughout Bangladesh. The IT ministry is doing that. And actually, it's a misconception that R&D is not focused on in Bangladesh. It's just that you have to look at what R&D we're focused on. So most people aren't aware of this, but Bangladesh is one of the leading countries for R&D in agriculture, because we've had an agro-based industry, and so we have focused on that. The government of Bangladesh really provided funding for that. So we've developed, and that is one of the reasons why Bangladesh is self-sufficient in food. We are a tiny country, yet in terms of population, we are the 8th largest country in the world. So in order to feed our population, we have had to increase our production rate using the limited land that we have, and that has been achieved because of our research in agriculture. And we are one of the leaders in the world. Now we have to expand that research into other areas, and we have focused on IT for that.
So thank you so much for your great speech. My name is Patricia. I work for the International Trade Center in Geneva. And my question is, for example, if you look at the audience of this speech, it's mostly male. I would say 80 to 90%, which is nothing special, which is also corresponds to what you see at CeBIT. But does the government have any initiatives to increase the share of women working in the IT sector?
Absolutely, we do. And this is an observation we have made, is that girls are typically not interested in STEM studies. So as part of those figures that I showed you, the 75,000 that we have targeted for training, we actually have programs there specifically just for women. Training, IT training only for girls and women. And that is already in process. I don't know the exact figure. I think some 3,000 are being trained. Pardon?
Hang on, you'll get the mic.
It's part of our IT ministry. He has the exact figure there.
This is Sushant. I would like to information. We have already completed 30,000 women basic training from our learning and earning projects.
Oh, wonderful. 30,000 women that have been trained throughout the country
yes.
on IT, basic IT skills.
Yes. We are also promoting to the women in IT. Women in IT.
No.
That is really an opportunity to beat Western societies, because all our, you ask parents, you ask German parents, you have girls and boys, who's better at school? My girl is better at school. Where are they? Where are they in the companies? Where are they? There's a potential we don't yet use. And if you want to beat us, that's the point where you can really beat us.
Thank you so much. Okay, my name is Khaled. I'm from Kiel. I'm studying here in IT. So our country is moving too fast. For just my question is, like, a lot of students, they're really talented and they're working from our country. A lot of my friends and I know a lot of people, they're working world-class company in the world. It's just like Google, Intel, and all the reputed company. So my question is, a lot of students, they're really talented. They want to go to the outside for the higher education. So, and I'm also here, but what will be the initiative from the government to help the student? And we are here. So be honest, if we face any problem, we have no one here to complain or something like that. So my question is, do you have any plan about us? For example, in Germany, maybe from Bangladesh, there's 50,000 students studying here. So we have no authentic place or authentic person here to claim something. I'm a student here, I'm alone, so I have no one to complain like that I'm facing any problem or anything. So can I expect something from you?
Well, no, you are in. So when I was your age, I myself went abroad to study. I made the choice to go to the U.S. and go to college and university there. Obviously, if you face any sort of problems as a Bangladeshi citizen anywhere in the world, you can go to our embassy and get help. But if a German citizen were to go to college in the U.S., I'm not sure what you would expect the German government to do to help you. You are an adult. You've made the choice to go abroad, and you have to stand on your own feet. So when I went to study, I went to university. I worked to pay my living expenses. Of course, if I ran into any major problem, I could contact our embassy for help, but that is only within the legal framework of what the embassy can do. That is what the embassy can do. Beyond that, really, as adults, I believe that we have to take responsibility for ourselves and stand on our own feet. And especially in a country like Germany, in a developed country, you have all the facilities available to you. There are no infrastructure problems. There are no problems in the system. It's much easier to get by here. And so I don't see how you would face problems that way. As long as you follow the rules, you should not face any problems.
I just learned that you have an interview scheduled in 5 minutes, and we have another program going on, so I allow one more question,
Sure.
if I may.
Thank you very much. My name is Sheikh Wahid. I'm representing LeadSoft, one of the company from Bangladesh, which has recently achieved CMMI level 5. I'm very pleased for that. My question is, we talked about the security, we talked about the new business, new opportunity, startup opportunity. Is the government doing anything about the copyright? Because that's one of the concerns of the Western world. And I lived in the US for years, so I just recently went back to Bangladesh to work in my company. So I just wanted to ask that question to you. Thank you.
No, thank you. That is a very valid question. We do have, we do recognize that copyright is an issue, especially in the knowledge industry. We do have copyright laws in Bangladesh. It's a misconception that we don't. The problem is one of enforcement. So you do have copyright violations, and then the legal enforcement does take a little bit of time, mainly because our courts get backed up primarily with litigation over land issues. That's, I think, something like 90% of our litigation, of our civil litigation, is over land. So we are in the process of updating our IP laws. The IT ministry is involved in that as well, to incorporate IT in there. But we do have quite strong copyright laws in Bangladesh. So it's really, the challenge is enforcement.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been absolutely inspiring.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been great news and a great contribution to our trade fair.